Well, as Carl said, this is a pretty dynamic family situation. It's not one that you run the numbers on and put it to bed. You can obviously see there's going to be changes that are going to have to be made, and it's going to be an ongoing process. But at least initially, when we got involved in it initially in setting up some tools, financial tools for them to work with and solve some of their needs, we started out with a taxable of estate that was a little over $4 million. Currently, they did not have a business continuation plan. They really did not have a buy-sell agreement in place. And that's where we came in and put together a buy-sell agreement with, at the time, the son-in-law, who was capable of running the business, and his wife, who was the daughter. But in any case, initially they had about $1,600,000 worth of life insurance in force. It was a combination of business and personal insurance, a combination of term, and some permanent policies. He was currently paying out about $16,000 a year in annual premium for those insurance benefits. All the life insurance, the way he had it owned, was in his estate. So even the life insurance really didn't solve his estate tax problem. So we started out with the buy-sell agreement, and we put a $1 million policy in force so that there would be some money available at the death of the father, in this case, allowing the son-in-law to buy out the business and have some money for some of the other children. We set up an irrevocable life insurance trust strictly to pay estate taxes. And we put a $1 million policy into that trust, keeping it out of the estate. We took the personal insurance that he already had, some owned by the business on his life, but the business needed some money immediately upon his death. We put policies that he had in force, had enough cash value in them to put them on a paid-up basis. So we put $600,000 of paid-up insurance. He doesn't have to pay any more premiums on it. We replaced the term insurance that he had. He had a $1 million term policy that was going up every year, and as you can see, the age difference here, which is a little bit unique. We had the owner 67 years old, and as Carl mentioned and Don mentioned, the new wife is 51. So there's a big age difference there. And the policy on the owner at age 67 was just going out of sight, premium-wise. So we put in a last-to-die policy. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but that's one of the new techniques available today. Insurance companies have come out with products strictly for estate taxes on a last-to-die basis to pay the estate taxes. So we put $1 million. We ended up with $2 million, $2 million of last-to-die policies, one in the buy-sell agreement and one in the irrevocable life insurance trust. The total premium on the $2 million was only $9,400. So we saved $6,600 in annual premiums that he was paying out before we got there, and premiums that would have continued to go up had he not done something in converting that term policy. And we also now have the $2 million out of his estate, owned by the children to pay estate taxes, and, the children in the buy-sell agreement and the trust to pay estate taxes. So that's where we are currently, and I say proposed. We've implemented these things, but as you can find out, after subsequent meetings, we found out that there are other things going on in this family, and we may have to make some adjustments in what we've done here, depending on the outcome of the continued planning with Don and Carl.
But what I really give you credit for, Fred, is in this case, you've doubled the insurance and you've reduced the premium by 50%. And I thought it was really important to acknowledge that the attorney and the accountant in this case, everything was dependent upon the death of both spouses, not just upon his death. And as a result of that, we were able to keep the premium, reduce the premiums, but increase the value of the economic protection.
Right, right.
Okay. Okay. Any questions regarding the concept here? Yes?
What happens if the father dies first and then the mother decides to alter the whole situation?
Yeah, good question. When we met with the attorney and the accountant, what happened was that they became appraised of that situation, and the mother cannot run that business. I'm not saying other mothers can't, but she didn't want to run that business. So she knew that the valuation of that business is pretty much dependent upon her son-in-law. And so there was an agreement that if something happens to the father, the supplier would provide the authority for the son-in-law to operate it, and that they would have a relationship, a business relationship, as opposed to a mother and a stepmother relationship with a son-in-law. It was really all spelled out in the agreement. But if the attorney and the accountant weren't appraised of this, how in the world could they ever had an agreement that had any substance to it? Thank you. Excellent question. Okay, thanks, friend. Now I'd like to quickly move on to, so we looked at some of the economic issues, we looked at some of the legal issues, we looked at some of the accounting issues. I'd like to spend a few moments talking about the relationship issues and have the expert in our group talk about that.
Oh, becoming expert. I'm learning about as fast as people I work with. So there's no experts in this field. We're learning. Somebody recently said that we'd all be okay if we didn't have to deal with relationships. And I thought about that for a moment, and that is true. I mean, our problems really do come out in relationship with other people, whether they be parents or associates or spouses. They're very thorny, and most of us don't have the necessary skills. I've been kind of working on it for 20, 25 years, and am still don't have all the skills I need. So it's very common for farms, ranches, and other family businesses to split up or make divisions rather than resolve and improve relationships. That's been my experience. We've got to admit, in order to make those changes in relationship skills, we've got to make the admission that we're not perfect, and that's been hard for me to do, and it's hard for other people. As you saw in the sculpt, what the fancy word for the daughter and her father is incomplete differentiation, meaning they haven't really split in terms of from a child to an adult. And so if you wanted to look at the daughter and the managing partner or the managing person another way, I mean, the daughter is not available to be in that marriage if you want to just look at the sculpt. So we need to become really aware of family of origin learnings and where we are and how we need to update those learnings. And that's not an easy task. This family also, the one that we had as an example, are not used to using what's kind of known about relationships and family dynamics, stuff like that. My guess would be, and I haven't been back to visit that family, is as you could see, that family is very volatile. There are other issues going on here, and that plan that Fred just showed you is going to have to be changed, my guess is, as things develop, because we don't know where things are going to go with relationships. But they're very unresolved right now, the relationships. And I feel very much for each one in that family, even though I was only there a day and a half. They've got some, I mean, if you think that that's difficult, there's two of the ones, the firstborn daughter and the son have eating disorders, meaning they're addicted to food. I mean, that's another way to manage emotions. The purpose of addictions is to manage emotions. So this family can't express emotions, so they do other things. So it's a very volatile kind of thing, and that's all I'll say about that now, Carl, so I'll turn it back.